Now, there's a little bit of a controversy within Shin Buddhism about the question of meditation. If you have listened to my origin story, if you will, my having got first turned on to Buddhism, I did meditate. And I do believe that meditation can help a person get in touch with wisdom or prajna. But as a Shin Buddhist, I realize that I don't have the capability of utilizing a practice like meditation to make progress toward some kind of enlightened state. But I do believe that, frankly, meditation can still be beneficial in terms of being a vehicle to lead us toward greater peace of mind. I have likened it in some ways to flossing one's teeth. I mean, it can be a positive thing for one's mental health and psychological equanimity. But my personal view notwithstanding, I want to move on to a broader perspective and a more official perspective, if you will, is that again, within Shin Buddhism, some temples or churches within the United States, within the Buddhist churches of America, they do view there as being benefit in having a brief meditation period. I'm talking like just 2 or 3 minutes at the beginning of the service. And again, with the strong caveat that we don't do that, we in the Jado Shinshu tradition, for the purpose of attaining enlightenment. Again, it's only to sort of get into a more peaceful frame of mind in order to hear the teaching, which is basically our only practice in Shin Buddhism, is to hear the teaching regarding Amida's primal vow. But on the other hand, there are some temples that say, no, 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 you can't do that really, because that is a form of self-powered practice. Now, personally, I think that, it kind of depends on one's intent, one's state of mind, one's motivation for doing it, and that's not irrelevant to the question of whether or not it's consistent or inconsistent with Shinran's basic approach as promulgated later by Renyo, where the idea is that we don't engage in any self-power practices because we realize we're full of blind passions and we don't have any capability along that line. I'll just add one other point, is that those temples or churches that do incorporate a short period of meditation have the rationale that, look, when people who have not been raised in the Shin Buddhist tradition and they come to a temple or a church, they're kind of expecting to see Buddhists doing some kind of meditation. In other words, it's sort of part of the cultural expectation within the West, within America in particular. And so if there is no such activity, they kind of scratch their heads and wonder, is this really a form of Buddhism? And of course, Shin Buddhism without any practice or involvement in exercises such as meditation is sometimes the reason that it has been referred to as sort of a Christianized form of Buddhism, which is really a misnomer, because even though there are some broad elements of similarity, and I've touched on those in other videos, that fundamentally our belief system within Jodo Shinshu is different than that of Christian believers. But another interesting question that I once raised with a Zen friend of mine is, what's the difference between Zen meditation and Vipassana meditation, or the meditation associated with the earlier form of Buddhism, the Theravada school? And I think that there are plenty of examples of both of these approaches, for example, on YouTube or in podcasts. I listen to both types just in terms of exposing myself to different approaches. And certainly one of the very positive podcasts or YouTube channels related to the earlier form of Buddhism is Insight Meditation Center, where Gil Fronsdal is the primary teacher. And of course, he originally was exposed to and involved with Zen, but then evolved more toward the Theravadan approach. Whereas again, some of the Zen podcasts and YouTube channels are excellent in terms of sharing the Zen approach, which is referred to as Zazen. A couple of examples would be the Zen Studies podcast and the San Francisco Zen Center, their podcasts. Anyhow, this friend of mine, he kind of explained it this way, that within the Theravada school, there is a purpose to the meditation. namely to attain certain more refined states of mental insight and awareness. Okay, maybe a close cousin to the notion of mindfulness, which is a term that has been popularized within Western culture and has a basis for being criticized for a variety of other reasons, because it's not necessarily a true form of Buddhist meditation. But anyhow, within the Theravada school, there is this desire to improve oneself, in contrast to Zen meditation, where you simply sit. The whole idea is just to sit. And in fact, the founder of Soto Zen school, I think basically just simply equated sitting zazen with realization, which is a whole nother topic. So anyway, those are some of the basic differences that I don't know if it makes sense to you, but if they do, you can explore it, or you can do research and determine your own understanding in that regard. Creations are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless. I vow to perceive it. The enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Namo Mita Bodhs. Namo Mita Bodhs. Namo Mita Bodhs.